All right, while we're getting the next guest up here, let me know if you're MAGA down below in that chat, guys. We're still just looking for the next guest. Okay.
How's it going?
What's up, Johnny? You support Trump?
Yeah. What do you? I'm curious. What do you think about Elon Musk?
I have a lot of thoughts on Elon Musk. I think that Elon Musk, doesn't really know much about politics, and he's not that smart of a guy, and that he's done a lot of harm, not only to America.
You don't think he's a smart guy?
Arguably, I don't think he's the
Really?
smartest, no.
I mean, he started a rocket company, an electric car company.
Yeah,
Pretty smart.
Well, I will say, I think that I think that he's made some smart investments, right?
Investments?
But I also think he's made a lot of dumb investments.
Your claim is he's not a smart guy. He's chief engineer at a private rocket company, the only one to ever be created. He's not just an investor. He's the chief engineer.
He's a chief engineer?
He's the chief engineer at SpaceX.
So do you think that he's personally involved with, like, the engineering of the rockets?
Yes! That is what he spends all his time doing. He is the chief engineer. He engineers the rockets. He literally changed the entire design of the rocket to be steel. He's constantly the one making the major decisions.
Okay. I'm not sure if that's true. Do you mind if I speak? I'm not sure that's true.
Okay, what's your source?
Oh my, Johnny, what are you doing?
What?
You're interrupting me after I just asked you not to.
What?
Just calm down. Let me finish speaking.
Bro, what's your claim that he...
No, stop. I just need you to acknowledge that you've interrupted me every time I've opened my mouth, and I don't want you to do that.
You can try to avoid these questions by saying this. Just answer it.
You interrupted me again, like right there. Okay, Johnny, and you're doing it again. I'm just going to have to put you on mute. So you said that he's a chief engineer, and that makes him a smart guy. Okay, I'm not so sure that he's a chief engineer. But if he is, assuming that you're telling the truth, here's my thoughts. This means that I think he's smart in some ways. All right. You got to have some intelligence in some niches in order to be the chief engineer of an aerospace company. That's obviously true. But I also just think he's really dumb in other ways, okay? You know, like if you go to a doctor, for instance, how smart are they going to be able to tell you how to fix a broken TCM in the transmission of like a 2020 Chevy Corvette, all right? They're going to be stupid as it relates to that, all right? They're not going to be able to tell you whatsoever, right? Just like even if you go to Elon Musk, somebody that might be the chief engineer of an aerospace company, once again, I'm not convinced he's an engineer at all. I don't think that necessarily implies that he's going to be the smartest person in the world as it applies to politics. And I think that he's kind of proven that. I think that he's kind of proven that he's pretty dumb as it relates to politics. You know, like I think it's a pretty dumb thing to support the AfD in Germany. I think it's a pretty dumb thing to say that you want to cut wasteful government expenditure, but then inevitably your department costs more to run than the amount that they're cutting. And this government, this office is being run under Trump, who is a wasteful spender in of itself and has deleted all of the progress that Doge has quote unquote made with one bill through Congress. And then Elon Musk finally addressed that. But basically, in summation, in response to your original questions, what are my thoughts on Elon Musk? I think he can be intelligent in some ways. I think he's done good things. Like for instance, investing in his internet company, where he has all of like the satellites in space, and he could give super high quality internet to anywhere on Earth. That's an awesome innovation. I think I'm so happy that somebody with a lot of money invested money into that. Starlink is like awesome, dude. I love Starlink. But then I just think that he's also really fucking stupid in a lot of other ways.
Okay, sorry. You talking really long paragraphs, and then you get mad at me for interrupting when I got your point a few minutes ago. So do you admit that you probably don't know very much about Elon Musk, considering the fact you didn't even know he was an engineer, which is like 90% of what he does?
I think I know enough to say that he's really smart in some ways and really stupid and dangerous in other ways.
Okay, but you didn't even know he was an engineer. This is like super basic information on him.
Okay,
like,
assuming that he's an engineer, I don't need to know that he's an engineer to know that he's smart in some ways and dumb in other ways. Typically, the ways that I think he's smart in is the investments that he's made in companies like Starlink.
You interrupted me and muted me, which you specifically asked me not to do to you, and then you did it right back to me. So you're being hypocritical.
So you could call that hypocrisy. That's fine. Let's focus on the substance of the conversation. I'm
Okay.
fine with that being
When you interrupt me, let's focus on the substance. When I interrupt you, I'm a bad person. Okay, yeah, that's fair.
It is my live. It is my live. And you interrupted me to be a jackass. I interrupted you because you were intentionally misrepresenting what I said after I repeated it 3 times.
Okay, so this is very dishonest what you're doing right now. I think that's very clear.
I wouldn't say that he's an engineer. What degree does he have in engineering?
You don't need a degree in engineering to know engineering.
Yes, you do. Okay, Johnny, can we get back to the debate instead of rage baiting here? Like actual politics.
Yeah, W. Kenna for that one. I'd actually like to clarify. You absolutely do need a degree.
Keep unmuting me. Who's the chief engineer at SpaceX? Look it up. Chief engineer.
Yeah, he gave himself that title on paper because he owns the LLC. That doesn't make him an engineer.
Oh my!
Don't if you interrupt me, I'm gonna kick you, Johnny. So I know what makes there you go. Yap. Hey Johnny, shut the fuck up. I will let you speak as soon as I'm done. Holy fuck.
Bro, you interrupt me, but then let's get back to the subject.
Everybody, let the baby whine.
Interrupt you, I'm a bad person. This is so ridiculous. If you think you need a degree to understand physics, by the way, he has a degree in physics, which what do you think engineering is? It's physics. Then you don't understand a single thing about how the world works. Engineering doesn't change whether or not you have a degree. It's about whether or not you have the knowledge how to be an engineer. You can literally read any book he's done or look at any project he's done. It's engineering.
Great. So the baby stopped whining. Thank you so much. So
okay,
actually,
now we're going to insults.
Oh my God. Okay, speak more. Fine, get it out.
No, you insulted me, which is intellectually dishonest, and means that you're not thinking logically anymore, and you're getting emotional. So let's try to think logically and not just go to insults like a child, and let's actually try to have a logical discussion here without emotions being involved, if you're able to do that.
Bruh, I'm sorry. It's not my fault that you're whining, but I'm definitely going to call it out when I see it.
And there it is again, going straight to insults.
Another interruption. Let me know when you're done, bruh. Holy fuck. Let me know when you're done.
Let me know when you're done going
fucking Mick Yapperson down here.
Logical thinking human being that's not under the age of 15. Let me know when you can have a logical thinking discussion.
Honestly,
are you ready? Are you now ready to have a logical discussion without going to emotional insults?
Man, I've been ready. I'm just waiting for you to stop talking.
Okay, perfect. Let's go.
Perfect. So first and foremost, you're calling me illogical for my reference. Oh God, Johnny, do I need to mute you?
I said one word, and
exactly. It was one word that interrupted what I said. So you're calling me illogical for saying that you're whining. I'm not gonna lie, Johnny. I think that is the most logical, valid, and sound claim that I have made since I started this damn live stream, okay? I understand that you don't like that word, okay? It makes you defensive because it's aggravating to be called out for what you're doing, but it is absolutely a logically consistent, intellectually coherent, and sound fact of reality to say that you're whining like a baby, okay? So I don't want you to promote this idea that I'm automatically illogical and emotional for like calling you a whiny baby. I mean, that's like me saying that the sun is shining really, really bright and warm today when it's 120 degrees out. I'm just calling the shots for what they are. Okay? But anyways, moving on to the substance of our conversation, you told me that you don't need a degree in engineering in order to be an engineer. So that's actually not true. Okay? So to be an engineer, right? Legally speaking, in all 50 states, there are qualifications and standards just like being a doctor or a lawyer, right? In order to be a doctor, you need to go to med school, okay? In order to be a lawyer, you have to pass the bar. And in order to be an engineer, you have to have a PE, a professional engineering license, all right? That there's a license that is required to be a legally operable engineer in all 50 states. It's called a PE license, all right? I know because my father has one, right? And in order to get a PE license, you have to go to school for engineering, right? You have to get at least an undergrad, requiring 4 years, and then you have to pass the PE test. So if you want to say that you don't need to be a legally classified considered engineer, meaning you have the PE and you got the undergrad in engineering, in order to be considered an engineer, okay, well, this is just like saying that you can be a lawyer without passing the bar. Or like saying you could be a doctor without going to med school. You could be an engineer without having a PE or an FE, right?
Am I now able to talk after your 5-minute rant?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, because once again, you go on these really, really, really long things that after I got the point 5 minutes ago, and then you say I'm interrupting you. Number one, it wasn't a logical fact that I was being a whiny baby. That is obviously just false. I was saying that you were a hypocrite, and then you called me a whiny baby because you were being a hypocrite. And moving furthermore, everything that you said was completely ridiculous. Maybe the technical qualifications for what you would consider to be an engineer is the only way to be an engineer, but that's false because the physics of reality do not change whether or not you have a degree. If you have an understanding of how physics works and how to use the programs that actually design things and create things, you are an engineer. I don't care what qualifications you have. If you can design a rocket and send it into space that nobody thought was even physically possible, then you're an engineer. Whether or not you know the law better than a lawyer, and that lawyer passed the bar, then you are now a lawyer, better than that lawyer is. I don't care what qualifications you have. And furthermore than that, you didn't even know that Elon Musk was chief engineer at SpaceX. That is his title, and he engineers the rockets. So if his title is chief engineer, he engineers the rockets, and he designs the rockets, and you're saying he's not an engineer? Now that is ridiculous.
Great. Thank you so much for your response. Yeah, for sure. You could say that you could be an engineer without a PE or an FE, but once again, that's just like saying you could be a lawyer without passing the bar. And I think that you even brought up in your last statement that you agree with that. And I just think that's like an intelligible position. I don't really think anybody will really care. Honestly, I have a task for you. I want you to go to your state engineering board, you know, where you get the PE or the FEs from. And I want you to ask that state engineering board if you could be an engineer without one of their licensees. Okay,
so
what they will do,
definitions of
what they will do is they will laugh at you and then they'll hang up, right? Or go to any engineer with a PE, right? Go to any engineer with a PE and say, if you could do what they could do, you legally can't. Actually, you cannot legally classify yourself as an engineer and run like a consulting company. Let's say for like foundational work on like construction. You cannot do that without a PE license. You'll get fined, and if you don't pay the fine, you will be imprisoned. Funny enough. Anyways. Obviously, like you said, we have different definitions of how we classify and consider engineers, doctors, and lawyers. I think more people are going to agree with mine than yours, but whatever. I want to move on to the second thing that you said. You said, well, because his job title is head engineer, this must mean that he's an engineer. So I could pay $10, and in 3 hours from now, I could make a new LLC, and I can make my title dictator of the world. Okay? That doesn't mean that I actually am the dictator of the world. That just means that I wrote down my job title on a piece of paper as dictator of the world. Okay? But now that we've moved on from these more minuscule points, I want you to respond to the big point. That being that you asked me for my thoughts on Elon Musk, and I said, I think he's smart in some ways, and I think he's dumb in other ways. All right, that's the big point. That was the big, grander response to your first question. And honestly, I think it's crazy that we're still stuck on this first question because we should be debating about why you support Trump, but you would rather debate me on the legal classification of what is or isn't an engineer. I mean, I win that debate. But anyways, if you want to spend some time responding to the final summation of my thoughts that he's smart in some ways, dumb in other ways, feel free. But then hopefully, and I bet Kenna is also begging for this, is to get moving on to a conversation about why you support Trump.
Okay, so first of all, when I first asked that question, you didn't say he's smart in some ways. You said you don't think he's very smart. And then later, I got you convinced to say that he's smart in some ways because I said he was chief engineer. And furthermore, that this is obviously relating to Trump because of the massive support and work together.
I'm muting you for your dishonesty. I had a conversation with my girlfriend this morning about Elon Musk. I said the same thing to her that I'm telling you now, that I think that he's smart in some ways, dumb in other ways. Not to mention that I've also had the conversation about Elon Musk many times before on my stream, and people that watch me more frequently will know that this is my position, is that I think he's smart in some ways and dumb in other ways. So no, you didn't get a dunk. You didn't get a concession. That's always been my position. I've talked about this position publicly. And in fact, I was talking about this position privately with my girlfriend just before I went live, funny enough.
Okay, well, I can't have a conversation with you if you keep interrupting and muting me. And whenever I do the same to you, you say, let's get back to the substance matter. You're not actually willing to have an actual discussion with someone. And then you say, oh, it's my life, so I can do what I want. It's like, well, that's a very dishonest way to have a conversation with somebody. I can mute you and shut you up, but you can't do the same to me because it's my platform. Talk about not defending free speech. If you're actually an advocate for that, then you would totally never do that. And you would not say this is my platform. So I think you're a very dishonest debater. And you always go back on when I interrupt you, you say something different. And when you interrupt me, you say something different. So I don't think you're logically consistent with your arguments. And I think you're very dishonest based on the way these conversations have. Because I've had to unmute myself over 25 times. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. And every single time, and you have this huge backing of teenage girls that is supporting everything you say, so you're stuck in this tunnel vision to where you're never going to be able to get out of it. And it's really unfortunate that you can't have an actual discussion because you're a smart guy. And I feel bad for that. So I'm going to leave because we can't have an actual discussion.
Loser! 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 Holy fuck the cope! I muted you one fucking time in the last thing that you were saying because you were going on and on and on about how you think that you got a dunk on me, but then you go on this long fucking tirade and rant about how much you think I suck because I've muted you, and then you say that you're gonna leave? Bro, holy shit, have a spine, have a backbone. If I'm so bad at debating, if I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, tell us why you support Trump. I'll hold myself back. I won't mute you. I'm so sorry for being a dishonest little fucking weasel and muting you 25 times in our conversation so far. I apologize. I have the ukulele in my hands. I'll play you a song and give you tears. I'm so sorry. Wait. I'm so sorry for interrupting you.
This is a very immature.
I'm sorry for muting you. I understand that what I did was wrong.
This is really.
And I'll never do it again, Johnny. I'll never do it again. Please don't leave. Please don't leave, Johnny. Please. I want you to stay with me.
Society?
And I want you to debate me.
This is so sad.
About why you support Trump. Okay,
I've never actually declared my support for Trump.
Well,
this is so. Do you see what you're doing? This is so dishonest.
So you said that you never declared your support for Trump. Okay. Well, so the conditions for joining my live are as follow. So you have to be at least 18. You have to be MAGA. You have to support Trump, and you have to be from America. Not to mention that the background, the title of the stream says, "Why do you support Trump?" So yeah, you have declared your support for Trump, and he left and he ran away. Dude, I would hate to be Johnny. His life fucking sucks. Oh my god. Hi, Kenna.
Hi there.
You support Trump?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Do you support Trump?
So yes and no. I did vote for Trump in this previous election, but I don't support his actions as a person, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, do you support the president or not?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, you do support the president. Okay. All right. Well, before we hop into a debate, I have a handful of people to thank. Lexi, thank you for the $20 over on YouTube Super Chat. Lexi says, Dean, did you ever debate Sid's dad? No, I never did. Thank you for the $20, Lexi. That is so incredibly kind of you. I would also like to thank, let's see here, everybody just give us one moment here. Everyone just give us one moment here. By the way, that last guest is invited to join the stream whenever they want to debate me on whether they support Trump, but, you know, he's scared. He won't ever do it. Devin, thank you for the $20 over on Venmo. Devin says, I think that you're awesome. PS, focus on the young men because some of them are really scary. I mean, we have a lot of young men that join. Well, I appreciate you for the love, Devin. That is DVON. Thank you so much for the love. As well as Haley with the $10. Thank you so much for the love, Haley. Show some love to Devin and Haley. But take it away. Tell us why you support Trump.
Okay, so I work in an underground lead mine, correct?
Wow.
Yeah. So under Biden's administration, there were a lot of EPA enforcements that integrated a lot of my company's facilities shutting down, and Trump has actually brought back quite a few of them since he started. So overall, more on the side.
I mean, we need to be specific here because I bet we could agree that EPA regulations aren't always a bad thing, and in fact, they're usually a good thing. And I mean, if this caused like different lead mining facilities to shut down, maybe they should have shut down. So like what specific EPA regulations?
So, sorry, forgive me. I'm a little bit nervous. Not a public speaker. MATS and the Pebble mine decision.
Okay, what are those?
So the Pebble mine decision, it's not a bad thing. It just caused a lot of our facilities to shut down for several years.
Okay, so it looks like the EPA issued a final determination in 2023 under the Section 404C of the Clean Water Act, effectively blocking the Pebble Mine project in Bristol Bay, Alaska. This determination prohibits the Pebble Mine from using certain waters in the watershed as disposal sites for dredged or filled material, citing potential harm to the salmon fishery, as well as the individuals in which would drink the water from those water areas. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has upheld this decision, meaning the mine cannot be permitted until the EPA's determination is overturned. So it looks like there was this mine in Alaska that was shut down because it was polluting waterways that fish were relying on and that people drank from. Like, it was putting lead in, like, drinking water. Okay, like, I support that. I think that should have been shut down, yeah.
Right. That's, I said, it's not a bad thing. It just caused our facilities to shut down and created a lot of new regulations, I guess.
But those are good. I agree with those regulations. I'm sad that Trump overturned them.
See, it brings in a lot of job opportunities. I know a lot of people in my area. I personally now work for the Doe Run Company, which operates 7 copper, lead, and zinc mines in Missouri. And
well, like, not all new job opportunities are good, right? Like imagine if, like, we legalized the public sale of, like, RPGs in all 50 states, okay? I'm sure that would bring in a lot of new job opportunities, but if a president in the future, like, made it illegal to sell RPGs again, which discounted a lot of those jobs, would I be mad? No, because I don't think that there should be jobs to sell RPGs to private citizens in all 50 states, just like I don't think that there should be jobs in mining facilities that contaminate clean drinking water with lead.
well,
Right?
we
So
also
if
have,
anything, I'd actually blame this not on Biden for enforcing this rule or the EPA for enforcing this rule, but I would rather blame it on the facilities for filtering their waste in such a way that led to lead in drinking water. Okay, like this seems to be something that we should blame on the facility. Like imagine
I can
imagine if,
explain
like, there's
that.
like a food production plant in Colorado that was, like, shut down because 1 out of every 5 batches of their beef was contaminated with salmonella. Okay, like, would we blame the government for shutting them down and removing those job opportunities? Like, no, we'd blame the facility for having salmonella in their beef.
Okay, so we actually have water treatment plants. It's just the Midwest or Ozarks or whatever area has a lot of rain, and that runoff is the issue, but it's not always controllable. I'm sorry, my daughter's quite loud. But we have water treatment facilities and plants where our environmental team is very, very focused on making sure that we don't have a detrimental effect to the environment. But
Okay, well, the Clean
EPA
Water Drinking Act and the EPA says that it does. So I'm gonna be inclined to agree with the EPA here and say that this is a bad reason to support Trump because you're just supporting, like, putting lead in clean drinking water.
So it's not drinking water. We don't have any of those drinking water plants or whatever you want to call them around the mines.
Okay. Okay, so I guess that would mean that the Clean Water Act wouldn't just argue that drinking water needs to be clean, but all water, even the water in which is used by fish or just public land, etc., also needs to be clean because it's drank by animals, etc., right? So could we agree? So do you disagree with the Clean Water Act?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying.
Well, actually, the EPA enforces regulation under the Clean Water Act. So if you agree with the Clean Water Act, then you would agree with the EPA's enforcement of the Clean Water Act.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so then you agree with the Biden-Harris administration and you disagree with the Trump administration.
To an extent, yes, I can agree with you on that.
Great. So do you have any other reasons why you support Trump?
I can talk about some of his executive orders he's placed if you want to.
I just want to know why you support the presidency, but maybe right before you do, I would like to thank real quick. Let's see here, one moment. Let's see. Jonah, thank you for the $20 over on Super Chat. Jonah says, I've been watching you every day, and your live streams have been really helping me very much. So thank you again for speaking facts, your light in the darkness. Thank you so much for the love, Jonah. That is so incredibly kind of you. Huge shout out to Jonah. Then also, Shirley, thank you for the $45 over on PayPal. Let's get 500 Shirley W's. Shirley says, him calling himself chief engineer and involving himself in engineering projects does not make him an engineer. Cook him, Dean. Oh yeah, we cooked that last guest. Jonathan ran. Honestly, Jonathan, if you're still watching, come back, baby, please. But thank you so much once again, Jonah and Shirley. Guys, show some love to Jonah and Shirley down below in that chat. That is so incredibly kind of you both. And then also Jay with a $50 over on Super Chat as well. Jonah, Shirley, and Jay. Thank you, all three of you. Shout out to Jonah, Shirley, and Jay. You guys are awesome. But yeah, take it away. Tell us why you support the administration.
So the executive order for veterans, putting more money back into that, I believe it's 14295 or 296, I'm not sure. It's ensuring that our veterans that have, fought and protected us. I don't support war or anything like that, but I do support the idea that people are willing to risk their lives to protect America. Sorry, I'm nervous.
How much did this invest into veterans?
I don't know the exact amount. If you do know, educate me.
So it looks like within 120 days of this order, present an action plan to the president through the assistant to the president for domestic policy to meet these directives and restore the capacity to house 6,000 homeless veterans at the National Center for Warrior Independence by January 1st, 2028. Okay, so yeah, this is just a plan to house 6,000 homeless veterans by 2028, right? Okay, that's not bad. That's good. All right, but I think when you also compare that to the fact that he's taking $8.5 billion out of federal veteran benefits, and the last administration invested $800 million into expanding VA healthcare benefits to service over 1 million new veterans, that obviously Harris and Biden were better for veterans than Trump, right? Yeah, this is a small W, but 6,000 veterans housed in 3 years is kind of nuts.
Okay, fair point. What about lowering the drug prices for pharmaceuticals and things?
Yeah, I don't think he is. That executive order was basically saying, please lower the drug prices. I'm not going to give you any actionable enforcement insofar as what you have to lower them to, and I'm not going to actionably enforce and give you punishment if you don't lower them. I'm just asking you very kindly. Okay, that's not the way that you lower drug prices in America. The way that you lower drug prices in America is something similar to what Biden and Harris did when they enforced a $30 price cap on insulin per month for insulin users in America.
Okay. Didn't he place multiple executive orders on it, though?
I'm only aware of one.
Which one would that be?
I don't know its name. Just the one executive order where Trump was like, please lower drug prices, I beg you.
Is it the 14273? That one? I think that's the most recent one. That one was in April.
I don't know. Probably.
Okay. What about his higher education or funding black colleges and universities?
So you're right. Donald Trump is giving some money to historically black universities. However, it's less than what Kamala Harris would have done. And when he gained the office in his first term, he cut funding to HBCUs from $2 billion every 4 years to $1 billion every 4 years. And then when Biden and Harris got the office, they increased it to $16 billion every 4 years.
I did not know that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What about the criminal federal regulations?
Criminal federal regulations. I don't know what you're referencing. I mean, hey, listen, at least I can appreciate this guest for arguing with the exact yos. Hey, man, that's new. It's different than what a lot of guests do. Maybe you could tell me what you're referencing.
14294, and if you would just give me 1 second, I'm sorry, I have to get my daughter.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so while she's getting her daughter, no worries about that. Take care of your daughter, everybody. Make sure that we're double tapping away in that phone screen, everyone. And also, real quick, I would like to thank Hope, thank you so much for the $10 over on Venmo, saying thank you for talking about the Pebble Mine. Honestly, the first time I'd heard about it, but I mean, it was a pretty easy thing to look up and learn more about. Let's see here. Cassidy with a $3 on PayPal and Brittany with a 5. I appreciate you guys. As well as Gabrielle. Thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo, saying showing the next generation and not every old person is bitter and not every bitter person is old. You're awesome, Gabrielle. Thank you for the $10. And that is absolutely so true. Thank you guys so much. As well as Devin 25 minutes ago with the $20 on Venmo. Thank you, Devin, for the love. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Kenna.
Okay, so like I was saying, the criminal federal regulations, 14294, I believe that's the executive order on that, is basically trying to simplify it because there's so many that have a criminal punishment behind them and not a lot of citizens or people understand them all.
Let's see here. I mean, like I said, I'll have to read through the executive order, but I mean, if that's what he did, that's good. But let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you like the fact that he is sending America into a constitutional crisis? He's had SCOTUS rule twice that things that he's done or wanted to do have been illegal. And this comes after he explicitly called for the termination of the Constitution in December of 2022. And he tried to steal the election from Biden in 2020.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Donald Trump is sending America into a constitutional crisis. We're already in one.
Is that fact or is that opinion?
So, I mean, everything I say, everything like you say is going to be our opinions, but our opinions can be based on facts. Like, for instance, it's my opinion that the Earth is round, but that opinion is going to be based upon the facts provided from like people like NASA, physics, math and science, etc. So, but yeah, I mean, my opinion is that America's in a constitutional crisis. Because of Trump. The fact to justify this opinion is that he's explicitly called for the termination of the Constitution. He told ABC News reporters that he doesn't know if he has to uphold the Constitution. He's violated the constitutional rights of undocumented immigrants, had the Supreme Court rule that, and then said he doesn't care. And then the cherry on top is the fact that he tried to steal the election from Biden in 2020 and then admitted to it in court.
Okay, so I'll restate what I said previously. I don't support Trump as a person. I support some of the actions. I do not support that action, though.
All right. Like, I think you've been able to name like one action so far that we could agree is good. Like an executive order to simplify like federal regulation and like the criminal justice system. Like, sure. I mean, I don't even know if that's what it did. I haven't read it. I will, though. I'll probably read that tonight. But I'll take your word for it. That's a good EO, okay?
I can name some more if you would like to.
And that's cool, right? But I feel like everything I just pointed out outweighs that good EO. Or like the fact that his big beautiful bill, the big boy, right, is going to decrease the after-tax income for 80% of Americans. That outweighs, this EO to simplify federal legislation. You know?
Okay. Do you want some more EOs? That I have a few written down just because I wanted to be a little bit prepared. I'm not as educated on this as I'll say you are, but so 14292 and 14303, that would be biological research and the gold standard of science, trying to restore America's faith in our research that the government does.
Nope. I hate that.
Okay.
So you're trying to so the CEO is basically it's trying to restore Americans' faith in the research that our government does. Okay. Well, like our current Secretary of Health is now recommending that young children don't get vaccinations. I don't think that we should have more faith in that research.
No,
okay?
I don't either.
He's also suggested that vaccines might cause autism. Okay. I don't think that Americans should have faith in that research. They've also cut funding for researching cancer and better concluding facts about neurobiology, cut funding to schools to study these things, cut funding to women's health, cut funding to cancer research. Okay, those are all bad. I don't think that we should have faith that that's a good thing. So I don't think that's super smart.
So when did he cut those fundings? Because in April he passed the EO 14292 funding more biological research.
What was the biological research for?
That's a good question.
Okay. All right. And yeah, I'm pretty sure he cut these fundings with some of the executive order signed in on day one, as well as funding cut by Doge.
Okay. So I also support this might be one of those big doozies. The tariffs placed on China.
Okay, I don't. Because now we have higher tariffs on China, which means that Americans will pay more for Chinese goods. And I don't think inflation's a good thing.
So this goes back to more EPA stuff, correct? My company imports all of our lead because we don't smelt it at our facility in Missouri anymore. We now ship it over to China to be smelted whenever we could have more jobs open if we continued opening the facility in Missouri. Do I need to restate that? Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think I heard an argument there.
Okay, so 14298 is the tariffs placed on China for imported goods. So my company that I work for exports lead concentrate to be smelted into China, and then we have to buy it back from them.
Yeah,
And-
that happens.
Right. We had to shut down a facility in Missouri that was smelting the lead here, and now we ship it over there instead.
One second, Dylan, how old are you?
I am 30. I'm about to be 33 in September.
Oh, wow. Okay, Dylan, do you support Trump?
Hell no. I just want to fact check Kenna.
What is it?
Well, Dylan, I brought you up because I thought that you were a Trump supporter. What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have real life experience with
You want to go ahead and cook for like 15 seconds real quick?
Sure. I have a real life experience with veterans because I have worked in the hospice field and the adult foster care field, and I am so glad that Kenna's first favorite policy was that the veterans were, upkept and everything, and it's not like the cheapest facility out there. You have to give up a certain amount of money in order to qualify just for like a simple one-on-one type of care. So the facility I used to work at, if you were a veteran, you had to give up all your benefits because you needed a income of $2,000 or lower in order to qualify in my state of Michigan for any type of government assistance. You could not have any type of income over $2,000 or else they will not help you. And my grandpa was a veteran. He got by with very slim benefits, and was fortunate to know a really good hospice company for him. But I'm sorry, but the veterans, they are not safe. I've worked with
Dylan,
yes, sir.
thank you for coming up and cooking her ass.
I'm not trying to cook anybody, but I have the experience. I don't work there anymore. I visit all the time to upkeep them, make sure they're doing okay. You gotta keep the elders happy. But I will say that there is a client over there who I used to give insulin to, and it is not cheap.
Yo, Dylan,
And
Slay, I really
this is-
appreciate. Oh, go ahead.
And this is, yes, I'm sorry, but so like this client I used to have needed one shot a week. One shot. And yeah, it was crazy because we could not get anything for him, and he wasn't even a veteran.
All right, well, Dylan, I appreciate you for coming up and cooking, Kenna. Slay, appreciate you, Dylan. I hope you have a great rest of
To
your day.
reply to him, can I real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry to hear that. You said that you no longer currently work here. I hope that these executive orders are to place better funding for them or encourage more funding. to improve that in the future. I am sorry that the system has failed your clients in the past, though.
Okay, all right. Well, Kenna, do you want to go back to what I was saying?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I forget what I was saying. How about this?
Was
Kenna,
it-
I appreciate you for coming up and having a conversation with me. I think I'm just going to go ahead and start on a clean slate with a new guest. Appreciate you for coming up.